Coming to you live from the One More and I'm Out of Here / Illegal Shift Studios. We are back at you with another episode
Wednesday.
of the One More and I'm Out of Here podcast.
Hump Day.
Hump Day, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Looks like we're in a goddamn tilted fucking warehouse.
What did you do here?
I don't know. Well, you started moving shit around and
No,
whatever.
not really.
Here we are. We're here
Well,
anyway.
I'll just do this.
Andrew, how's your day?
I'm going to do this. Or should you wait?
Are you going to answer the question? Just
It was a good day.
Just
Today
move
was
on.
a good day. Got a little sore throat, a little tickle going, but
weather's changing.
weather's changing. Yesterday,
It's been cold as shit.
yeah, it had. Well, no, not cold as it's going to be, but the funny
It's cold
part,
as shit compared to the
well,
90 degrees. that we
yesterday
had.
I just cut leaves all day, and I was making clouds of dust, and they were going to my sinuses, so I'm dealing with that today. But no, it's not a bad day. The weather's nice. It's crisp in the morning and crispy. It's almost fire. I'll be lighting the fire up soon and kicking back on the porch, so it'll be nice.
I'll be waiting.
How was your day?
I'll be waiting for that invite, but I'll probably
It
never
probably
get
won't
it.
happen.
Probably never get it.
Probably
See, I already knew it.
won't
I
happen.
already answered it.
I mean, hey,
My day was good. I was running around all day. I did a podcast, did our illegal shift sports podcast earlier, and
busy.
had some errands to run. Put together this cool ass bookshelf. I'm going to show you when you leave.
I don't care.
Okay, neat.
Oh, it's the one. It's the one in the other room.
Right
Yeah,
here.
yeah, I saw it. Actually, it caught my eye.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Oh, caught your eye.
Kinda
See?
caught my eye.
Yeah, it's been so while Jill was in work meetings
We've never
working
seen
from
some-
home, I was sitting there
I've-
cussing at this Allen wrench that I had to
Was
fucking.
it? Is it an IKEA?
No, it was an Amazon buy, but
Oh.
$35.
Dude,
Got a lamp.
Unless you put something together from IKEA, you haven't lived.
Oh, no, I have done that.
Jesus.
My fingers are still hurting from the little fucking Allen key. And I didn't have a small enough drill bit to go in to my drill.
Well,
But I was fairly productive
being
today.
handy is good.
Fairly productive.
Well,
While Jill was working doing meetings, I'm cussing at these fucking screws. trying to
I'm
be
glad
quiet.
we pushed up. So let's let everyone know we pushed up the show today because obviously at 6:00 here Eastern time, Kamala comes on with Brett Baer, and we wanted to, I think it's important that we watch it, and I think it's important that we let everybody else watch it. Not that anyone would probably brush it for us, but you know what? Why compete? And I want to be able to comment on it a little later tonight. So I think we just moved it up in 30 minutes, and I forgot.
works out.
I forgot that. So that's actually live to tape. It's not a live interview, but it's live to tape. And the one thing I think Fox won't do, like we'll discuss in some of the other things, is I don't think Fox is going to do a whole lot of editing on it the way some of these other news channels have done. So I'm looking forward to tonight. I did not get the chance yet to watch President Trump on the Harris Faulkner show, but I'm going to catch that a little bit later. So, yeah, it's an interesting news day. I didn't know that we'd have a lot to talk about from Monday to Wednesday, but like we always say, it's a fast world and it's a fast news cycle.
News cycle is always happening.
And look, we got 30 days. I'm sorry. Yeah, 30 days.
No, it's less than that.
30 days from Tuesday, from yesterday. So it's going to be interesting. It cannot get here fast enough.
I know. Let's just figure it
Not
out.
to get here. I was at the gym earlier, and they
Really?
were. Yeah, I know. I was
Were you?
just texting. I was on Facebook.
I
So
was
the-
texting.
So I was at
Taking up space on an elliptical.
I was
not
talking
moving.
to a guy named Jim, and so the funny thing is that folks are getting stressed, man. I mean, so they had Fox News on the TV, and this guy came over and turned it off, and so I went over and turned it back on, and then he turned it off, and I turned it on, and we were just going back and forth. And they're
You're
like,
starting fights at the
well,
gym.
no, it's just like they're like, well, we can't have, we have a new policy. We don't have news on anymore. I'm like, dude, we are 30 days from the most important election around, and you guys are going to have this no news policy. I mean, you got 12 TVs. How many can be on HGTV? I mean, how many shows, how many different, I can't watch
Stephen A. Smith, HGTV, fucking all the other
all
bullshit.
the other bullshit that's out there. And I'm
You're
like,
like, dude, I just turned 60 and I want to watch this
I just-
TV and I
I'm-
want to
I'm-
watch my news.
I'm just, I'm at the gym. I'm mindlessly doing shit. I'd like to keep up with the current events. So I'm going to have the discussion with the management at El Gym and or else, we'll see what happens. But no, we got a lot of news going on today, and I appreciate everyone being here.
I'm not sure if you saw this story, Andrew.
Oh God,
And
it's gonna piss me off, right?
It is. It definitely
So let's
is.
play it. let's
play it.
I think I have seen the story, but Jesus.
So the former owner of a dog found chained to a pole ahead of Hurricane Milton arrested. So they finally they found him, which is good. So we're starting at the end of the story, but we're going to work our way back.
That's fine.
But I mean, look at that.
I know.
You just got a new dog. I mean, look at that poor little guy.
Yeah, and you can tell if you follow me, I'm a bit partial to the new dog, although he does beg my.
I'm gonna hit an ad. I'm gonna hit an ad. I knew I was gonna hit an ad.
I mean, he tries my patience at times, so he's got a new habit. My little puppy has.
But it's okay, buddy. It's okay.
That poor fucker.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
He's like,
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. It's okay, buddy. It's okay.
dog's pissed.
Well, you're standing. He's standing in waist deep, chest deep. I'm sorry, chest deep water, right, for the dog. We both know that in Florida there's alligators and and now pythons. You know, God's. You know, people are like, I'm going to Florida. I'm like, why? But and I don't want to piss off our Florida residents. I'm sure the weather's wonderful, but you know, that's that. I mean, dude. I don't get people. I mean, somebody went out there and literally chained the dog to a fence. And that's not even, you know, was that before the storm? We don't know, but I'm sure the water got worse if that was, you know, just because they had a major hurricane go through there.
Yeah. So the way the story reads is for audio listeners, the former owner of a distressed dog found tied to a fence near a freeway as Hurricane Milton headed toward Florida.
Jesus.
So
before the storm.
Said he left the bull terrier as he was evacuating the state, authorities said.
Yeah.
Giovanni Aldama, that's your crinkle happening right there because my shit's over here, has been charged with aggravated animal cruelty, state attorney Susie Lopez said. He allegedly told investigators that he was driving to Georgia to escape the storm, but left his dog Jumbo on the side of the road because he couldn't find anyone to pick the dog up. Well, why do you need to find anybody to pick the dog up?
That.
You should, like the dog should be going with you. Correct.
You couldn't pick the dog up physically. They have this guy's picture.
Oh, it's coming. Criminals face harsher penalties, as a matter of fact, during a state of emergency, which we were in last week, and we are in now. Lopez said in a news release.
Good. They
will face the music.
Good.
So I'm scrolling for the video. YouTubers.
It's not my phone. It's your phone over there. No, it's up here. It's up by the keyboard. Oh, so it isn't my phone.
Maybe it is mine.
Yeah, maybe it is.
Maybe it is mine. My shit's a little bit stronger than yours.
I hope you get irradiated.
The bull terrier named Trooper, in honor of his rescuer, they changed his name.
Good.
Was found abandoned by Florida Highway Patrol Trooper Orlando Morales during a rainy October 9th morning off Interstate 75 near Bruce. Doesn't matter where. He's an animal lover and a father to a rescue dog himself. I think it's absolutely amazing that trooper was able to see him. So, I mean,
well,
if you watch the video, the dog wasn't, just it wasn't right there on.
It was a ways away.
Yeah.
Look at this guy. So pan down.
Yeah. So here's this dude.
This douche couldn't freaking pick up the dog. I mean, come on, man.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all.
Well, I mean, here's the deal. I'm a big, as you know, I told you, I'm an animal lover. Although my new dog has a habit of now he has to go outside at 3 a.m., which is interesting. But hopefully
well, you get up around that time anyway.
Right. I'm not anyway. And so, but my point is, if you're, I think that's like the doorway you go into. I mean, I think that I don't want to say necessarily. I think anyone that abuses a living animal, I think they start with pets and then move on up the food chain to the more complicated animals. You know what I mean?
Potentially,
I think that if you find somebody that was a serial killer or committed some sort of heinous act against another human
Always
being.
did something with
I
animals.
think if you go back in their history, you'll find that either he beat the dog or, maligned the cat in some fashion, or that just makes me sick. Cause animals are just, they are so, that's just, it's just ridiculous.
So it's amazing. It's
I
amazing.
hope he gets the book thrown.
Somebody can be that big of a fucking asshole.
And then the governor waited in, you said.
Save yourself.
Yeah.
And just tie a dog. You took the time to tie the dog to the fence.
Yeah, and why there along the freeway?
Why not let him? And my buddy John Bates from our Illegal Shift podcast said, why not just let him go and let him fend for himself, figure it out, versus being tied if the water rose and then he
That's right. Why? Well, people do that. You know what?
Very, very.
You know what else they do that? People do that with horses quite a bit. They leave them tied somewhere instead of just like, hey, man, go.
Go figure your life out.
No, I mean, I realize that for a dog is maybe there's no comparison because you can't throw a horse. Depends on what car you drive, but you can't throw a horse in a car and take off. But you can very easily.
We can.
Well, you know what? You sold the Escalade. We could have had that. We could have had a horse in the back of that.
Well, I didn't need that.
But yeah, we did. Anyway, I hope this guy gets the absolute book thrown at him, and I don't know what the punishment is, if it's just a fine or maybe whatever, but I hope he's hurting so bad that he won't do it again. And I hope he doesn't own another pet, but that is something that probably can't be prohibited.
You're a big piece of shit, though. You're a big piece of shit when even though that's a big,
speaking of dogs,
that's a big issue, animal cruelty, but you're a big piece of shit when the governor of your state gets involved.
Yeah, like that.
One of the issues that we saw happen was we had somebody decide as Hurricane Milton approached that it would somehow be a good thing to take his dog and chain it to a post on the interstate.
That dog was
we had a Florida Highway Patrol with us here today that saw that dog in distress. Dog was very rattled from that experience. Rescued the dog. The dog's now in Tallahassee. It will be adopted, renamed Trooper. But we said at the time,
I love the name.
You don't just tie up a dog and have them out there for a storm. Totally unacceptable. And we're going to hold you accountable. Well, I'm proud to announce that the authorities have identified the dog's former owners, and State Attorney Susie Lopez is now pursuing animal cruelty charges against the individual.
Good.
So,
you know what?
You done fucked up, AA Ron.
Yeah. And that most folks may not know this. That dog is the same kind of dog that Patton had. That's a bull terrier.
Yeah.
And
Patton like Spuds McKenzie.
He's like, God, Spud McKenzie. Remember that?
That's the same dog, right?
It is the same dog. Spud McKenzie. People, 3/4 of the crowd like, who?
Yeah, they'll have no idea.
That's when advertising was actually clever.
You're allowed to advertise fucking actual
before
good commercials.
And the funny thing about Spud McKenzie is that was a female dog. Yep. So now you put in the whole gender fluidity of the day here, and Spud McKenzie was the first transgender
lesbian. Well, he's just a lesbian.
I don't want to be a lesbian. I mean,
she was a lesbian.
He was a dog, a female pretending to be a male. Everyone thought Spud McKenzie was a male. Spud McKenzie was a female dog. People were like, how do you know that? Just weird things you find on the internet.
No, I did know that little fun fact.
Yeah.
And that I remember watching multiple football games growing up, and I was young. But remember seeing Spuds McKenzie, and that was what's the Super Bowl commercial going to be?
Oh yeah,
with Spuds McKenzie.
Spud McKenzie, and you had Alex from Stroh's, and you
had
you had some dogs.
Alex from Stroh's, yeah.
So we have that going on, and I'm glad that Florida. I'm sorry for the people down there that lost property, but it seemed like that it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Although I have seen some bad videos, but nothing like. It still doesn't seem to be on the scale that obviously. North Carolina is still reeling.
I was going to try to get Eric Tansey on
we should
talk about his stuff, but I know he had a podcast this morning, and then they're getting ready to for a big event this weekend. So I didn't think it was going to be apropos.
Well, we
have him on.
Apropos. Listen to you, Mr. Thesaurus. You got the thesaurus out or what?
Yeah,
Is that what that is?
Sitting right here. It's sitting right here.
Now we got some, so we're talking about, somebody asked, we didn't know we moved the show up. And the reason is obviously there's a big interview coming on Brett Baer, and I'm really looking forward to it tonight. And I'm looking for it from this purpose. We have seen here recently, both, I guess it's mostly CBS that's done it as of late, but we've just recovered or just witnessed the rank bias of ABC during the presidential debate, and the fake fact checking, which the FBI today, if folks don't realize it, and I've posted it on my Facebook and I sent you the link, but it's not important. But remember Donald Trump during his debate got fact checked by the male interviewer, and he said, well, Mr. President, the FBI said the crime statistics have been going down and blah, 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 blah. Guess what got revised today by the FBI?
You did send me that.
I did send you that, but guess what got revised today by the FBI? It was the crime statistics. And
Weird.
Guess what they show? Crime under Biden-Harris has gone up roughly 5%. So Donald Trump was actually correct. The fact checker at ABC News was actually wrong. You're not going to see a correction by any of the news networks, and you're not going to see a whole lot made of it. But the simple fact of the matter is that what I'm looking for tonight during the Brett interview is I want to see and compare how they either edited or presented versus what's being going on CBS. And CBS, first of all, we had 60 Minutes that completely and utterly edited Kamala Harris's interview in a way to try to make her as competent, which is hard to do, but they tried to make her look as competent as possible. They took 47 minutes of interviewing and cut it down to about 17 minutes. They won't release the transcript, which is really interesting, because what folks are thinking they did was that they asked her one question, but then used the answer from another question to splice in there, because she just cannot seem to answer a question correctly. So I'm really looking forward to, and then they interviewed after that. CBS again interviewed Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, and has done some interesting editing on his answers as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing a professional news organization that I respect, which is Fox News, and that's FOX, not FAUX, like some of the clever liberals like to say. I'm looking forward to what the news agency does tonight on an interview, and maybe could set the bar kind of high for the rest of the journalism. But you've got some stories here that you want to share.
Well, I know it's delayed there. I pretty much hit a bunch of them. I mean, just with what
and they
you,
did.
what
I've
said.
heard now. So if you haven't heard, you need to be on the internet, the interweb, and I know that they've played the actual answer versus what they've edited some of the things down to, and it's the way they change your statements to fit their narrative, and it's just disgusting. Yet if you dare post something or say something, what's the word of the day today? What's the word that the word that really pisses me off that is going around a lot today? Misinformation.
Oh, misinformation. Give me the definition of misinformation.
It's like, if you disagree with something, well, that's misinformation. That's not true. I mean,
Exactly.
we used
It's
to
not true.
No, but we used to say that's a lie, right? Well, I guess the word lie has lost all meaning. So it sounds much more nefarious now. And it's, I guess, more of a catch-all if you say, well, that's misinformation.
Right.
Well, guess what? It wasn't misinformation. Donald Trump's statement about crime was not misinformation. It was accurate, factually accurate.
Well, and the way you posed all of these, they all coincide together. That's why it's like, this is like one big story, because
It is one big story.
the misinformation.
Right. And we had this Peter Ducey interacting with Baghdad Bob,
Sideshow Bob.
I thought
Sideshow Bob.
Baghdad Bob.
Correct job here.
But
Sideshow Bob.
so and
Idiot.
he came out afterwards and set the record straight, and he
Yeah.
was actually correct. And then you have now, you had the presidential debate where they were.
I mean,
wrong.
is this any shock to anybody though
But it
of
no,
CBS selectively editing because it's happened. It's happened the whole time.
it's not a shock. But what pisses me off the most is that these sanctimonious people
So
get on their soapbox and they say that if you or I dare share something on social media, then some 500-pound zit-faced troll living in his parents' basement fact checks it and says, well, that's out of context. So they put a warning on your freaking post that you're somehow, like, we're very careful here of posting things or commenting on things that are false because we'll get dinged for it and it could affect our ability to communicate. But here's CBS.
Well, I've gotten dinged before. And that's
Right.
fine.
But here's CBS and here's 60 Minutes and here's ABC, the three major networks, and they're putting their thumb on the scale here. Now, the good thing, here's the good news. All right, 60 Minutes under fire for editing decisions. They had 47 minutes of videotape.
So
and they cut it down to like 17.
When I read this article, I'm trying to find where it is in here of what she actually said.
Well, they won't release the transcript. So 60 Minutes is still today not relieve the transcript. Why can I not get my glasses on? But 60 Minutes will not release the transcript of the show so you could see exactly what was said versus what they broadcast. And that's telling. Now we have, and the reason it's a big deal, as we brought up at the beginning of the show, it's freaking 30 days before the election.
Yeah.
Now,
have your shit together a little bit.
Here's the deal. On the plus side, I don't know what your feeling is, and I'm, knocking on wood, and you hate when I do that.
That's all right. For that, that's fine.
But here's the deal. I'm beginning to think and to come to the conclusion that you can only fool the people so many times. And I think the people are seeing on their own the absolute incompetence and inability for Kamala Harris to make a rational and complete thought and answer a question in a competent manner. And I think they're turning against her. So I'm hopeful.
So to put this into context, Harris was mocked by conservatives for offering a lengthy quote-unquote word salad when she was asked why it seemed like Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu wasn't listening to the U.S. And so this is what she said, and this is what I found interesting. And this is in quotes. Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in that region, Harris responded in Sunday's face, or in Sunday's, and then quote, face the nation clip. Sorry. But what's funny is, however, a shorter, more focused answer from the vice president was shown in the same question on Monday night. We're not going to stop pursuing, this is quotes.
Right.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Right. That's
Harris
the way
said
they edited it down.
That was in the primetime special,
Right.
but that wasn't exactly what she said.
Wasn't exactly what they said.
They pieced out, they pulled out a piece of what what she had stated, which obviously to me is showing obviously
bias.
Way bias. The fact that they know that they're behind.
Right.
And
well, you know what? I'm glad
they're trying to make up ground.
Well, there's no what they're doing is, so I think that what they decided early on, first of all, they know that she's terrible. They know that she sucks. We're just going to leave that there.
Yeah.
But they know that she's terrible because they speak to her. As I mentioned earlier, she has over a 90% turnover rate in her staff. That's staff. That's not like her cabinet. That's actual that's that's her staff, her personal staff. 90% turnover. I've heard she's horrible to deal with. I heard she's not friendly. She's not likable.
There's nothing about her as a person like that I've seen. Just talking and whatever.
There's nothing that makes
that
you
I would
want to
fucking
fuzzy.
I would want to fucking hang out with her.
Oh God, no.
Fuck you.
No.
Get out of here.
I think that they're grasping at straws. They had the strategy that they were going to repeat the Biden strategy of pretty much locking her away, relying on a media blitz that would, say whatever it is they wanted to say. They had the audacity to say that I heard some claim that Donald Trump was hiding and, not out there, and they're the ones doing interviews now. I mean, they're doing friendly interviews now. That's why I really want to watch the Fox one tonight, because I don't think that the
how are the fuck are you gonna say he's hiding when he has been?
He's everywhere.
I literally yesterday while I was at the
How many different
firehouse
places did you see him yesterday?
Oh, dude, he was jumping,
Yeah.
and everything was televised. And sitting there watching, I literally said, "How does he have a voice?
How does not only a voice,
like not just
how does he have the energy
or the energy?"
I mean, I got to tell you, so
I'm almost half his age, and I'm fucking tired when I fucking get out of goddamn bed.
well, I mean,
Let alone fucking going and
for a guy that's
hitting all the shit that he's doing.
I mean, the guy's 78 years old, and I got to be honest with you. I think he could run circles around somebody probably half his age. I mean, seriously.
he probably.
And I know people.
I'm saying it.
I know people in politics that I've talked to people. I know people that are running campaigns, just statewide campaigns.
That's hard work.
That's hard work. Now you're like, no, I'll show. Now, I don't mean hard work in the traditional sense of the word. You're getting your hands dirty and your back hurts and you're lifting heavy objects. It's not what I'm talking about.
Mentally, physically, and emotionally.
It is draining. It is never
Absolutely.
ending. You don't have a weekend off. You might have a day here, day there. And, these campaigns go on for months and months. And Donald Trump
He's
has been
doing
it
fucking stop.
nonstop. So I heard he's going to
I'm actually afraid that he's going to have a goddamn heart attack before the fucking election because he's working so hard.
Well, that brings us to another point. So there was
She just started.
So
She just started
getting
doing
back
her
to the
shit.
media bias. Right. She just started because she hadn't done an interview. Remember, we had the countdown.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I don't think that she's really done she hasn't had a presser. So she's just doing these friendly interviews with, what was the show? Who's Your Daddy?
Who's Your Daddy?
What's Your Mommy? I don't know the name of it.
Something like that.
Something like that. So that's a podcast.
Charlemagne the God.
Never seen it. Don't know who Charlemagne is. He's not my God.
But he's a big. I mean, it's big. It's a big one.
Okay.
And he questioned her. He questioned her hard.
Okay, I haven't seen it. Probably not my demographic.
Definitely not.
I heard that he was going to be
She's
on.
potentially going to do Rogan.
I heard she's thinking of doing Rogan, which I would find funny.
That could be a
She
pay-per-view.
did Howard Stern. That was
could be
very
a pay-per-view
friendly
event. Though.
it
Rogan could be a pay-per-view event.
Could be. I mean, you want to talk about a successful podcast?
Well, and you want to talk about fucking 3 hours of getting
drilled. Yeah, drilled,
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, if you want to
Whatever.
drill,
I mean, I don't want to drill it. But
I'm out.
I mean,
I'm out on
maybe. Anyway, I would say that people just don't understand how taxing and just draining it is. So Donald Trump at 78 is got the energy level of a 35, 40-year-old human being. And I respect the fact that he doesn't stop. And even when he gets back to, when I remember when he was president, he'd come back from somewhere and he'd be walking off, Air Force One or Marine One. And he would stop and take questions. What we've gotten away from in this country in the last 4 years is the press having access to our government, to our leaders, to our elected officials. Joe Biden doesn't do pressers, very few. And when he does, he is, he's told who to call on and he has the questions ahead of time. And it's very, very scripted. They wanted to follow that model with her. I remember Trump would stand there for literally hour and a half. Remember he made, was it Jim Acosta made him a household name because they went back and forth forever.
Yes. Yeah. Acosta,
and Trump would go back and forth with the guy. And,
and everybody else was afraid of him.
Everyone else was afraid of him.
And Trump was like,
I don't care. I'll do it. And now compare and contrast. They have, the Biden administration has the major news, I guess you call him press liaison for Africa, for the continent of Africa. and they've pretty much banned him. They never call on the guy. They've pretty much banned him from press conferences. And the guys, I don't know that I would classify him as conservative, but he's like, why are you not at, and he's a black guy, and the black press secretary is literally discriminating against him. And I think it's hilarious. But I think that the mask is coming off. I think the wheels are coming off. Listen, for today, for example, today here at my house. Now, for the Democrat Party to mail me something at my house, I mean, that's let's talk about. I mean, you might as well mail me, coupons to a vegetarian restaurant. That's about as effective. I mean, seriously. So I'm getting mail, and I've seen my compatriots on the Republican side getting mail from the Ohio Democrat Party for different candidates, and I'm like, whoa, they've really got to be nervous, and I think they're very nervous. We have an important election here. Obviously, we have not only the presidential election, but in Ohio, that's fairly decided upon. I don't want to dissuade you from voting because of that. I shouldn't say that flippantly. It does matter that you vote, so everyone needs to vote. But where we really need your vote here, and why you have to show up here in Ohio, I would like David J. If you want to send me a link, we could talk about it. Seriously, I'd love to talk about that. If that's you can't ask me a question on here like that without some backup. You saying it. I'm not disputing the fact that you might be right. I just don't know. I mean, I can't comment on that.
He'll send something.
Please do, because I'm not a fan.
I just wanted you to be able to see it.
I'm not a fan of. Thank you. I'm not a fan, except for that. I'm not a fan of. The DOD, if they have authorization to use force on American citizens, so I'd have a very big problem with that. And anyone that knows me would know that. Unlike the person that's commenting afterwards. God, you must really have no life. But anyway, I just think that we have the Missy Powers for prosecutor race, which is huge here in Cincinnati and Hamilton County. And I think that there's a pretty good chance that Sherrod Brown might lose this election. I think it's very, very, very close. And if Donald Trump carries the state by 12 and those people continue down the ballot, Sherrod Brown's going to be looking at an uphill battle, and nothing would please me more than to get rid of Sherrod Brown. He's been a horrible senator, and he's been in D.C. way too long. Terrible. He's a career politician, been in D.C. very, very long. And here in Hamilton County, we also have in District 1, we have Orlando Sanza running against Greg Landsman. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'd like to tell everyone again, you need to get out there and vote. You need to definitely get out there and vote, and
figure out who your delegates are, who your representatives are. Make sure you start low and go all the way up.
Well, and so many judges, like we've discussed on the show before, so many judges. We have Judge, what's our favorite judge to say her name? That's been terrible on bonds and recognizant bonds and no bonds and very low bonds. And Barry bonds. Judge Silverstein, and when you vote party affiliation only, and the other party doesn't put qualified candidates on the ballot, you get unqualified judges that are affecting your public safety here in Ohio, in Cincinnati. So I encourage everybody. I know our judges. I know our judicial candidates are second to none. We do a very good job of vetting judicial candidates, I think, and I think that they put law and order first. So if you're a law and order guy, I think you should definitely, or girl, I think you should definitely consider going down the ballot. And I'm reading the comments. Give it to him, Joe. He's a comical buffoon. Nobody cares what he thinks.
I'm trying to figure out what.
Oh, we can't do that right now. I mean, I would love.
I was trying to figure it out. But.
I mean, I think that it's a valid question, and if it's true, it's true. Like we mentioned the other day, we had a show the other day, and we talked about. It was some other videos you probably wanted to get to, but we had a show the other day, and we talked about the report on X that there were some accusations against. what's his face? Tim Walz, touchdown Timmy, tampon Timmy.
Is it touchdown? Is it tampon?
It depends on the thing.
I'm
but
not sure. Depends on which way.
Well,
You're
it depends on which way you're going. But the problem, and we wanted to say, we'll get to this. Getting back to we'll get to Tim in a second. But getting back to remember, we were talking about media bias, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And remember the interview with JD Vance that we played last show, and the interviewee was saying, well, it's only a handful of apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado that have been taken over by these Venezuelan gangs, right? Remember? Just a handful.
And he was like,
you want to show the
the
face of the poor manager of this complex.
He's like, do you hear yourself?
Do you hear yourself?
It's only a handful that have been taken
Can I point out something? You can show the place. But remember, the Democrat Party and liberals in particular will take the exception to try to make the rule. So they'll say
Absolutely
falsely
correct.
that somebody, I'm just using this as an example. This isn't an exact case, but they said, well, somebody had this happen to them and it was in the X month of their pregnancy and they needed an abortion. And because of this law, they couldn't get it done. They'll take that one person, right? They'll take that one instance and they'll try to craft a law around that one instance, a very specialized instance. The lady has the gall, though, on logic side to say, well, it was only a couple of apartment complexes.
Only a couple.
But yet the same person would take logic and take the one exception to the rule that she had on her side of the argument and try to change and make everyone comply with her way of thinking for that one person or change the law for that one person. But we have a couple of apartment complexes in Colorado, just a few that are housed by, I don't know how many people are in an apartment complex. I mean, got to be a couple hundred maybe.
Well, and looking at it with the videos that I saw.
Yeah, but you don't know if that's all the buildings of the complex.
Correct.
I mean, most apartment complexes are not 5 or 6. They're usually bigger than that. I mean, would you say 30? Maybe. I don't know how big it was.
I mean, it just
doesn't
depends.
matter.
Look, I mean, just being in EMS, fire and EMS.
Right.
I've been in a bunch. The way these looked, they were pretty sizable units.
So it wasn't like 10. It was probably more than 10.
More than 10.
Okay, so you figure an average occupancy of, I don't know, 2 to 3 people, maybe 4 person a unit. I'm not sure, but you're talking over 100 people maybe in this unit and there's only a couple of them. So, you have several hundred people now that are suddenly displaced because we've allowed a whole migration of criminals from primarily Venezuela, which emptied their prisons, to come to the United States, and we've imported the crime here. But that's okay to a Democrat.
And guess what? We found them. We found them. In Aurora.
And there's another story that about a new, but here's this poor guy in Aurora. Here's the apartment manager in Aurora. You want to look at him?
So where they're talking about where
does his life matter? Does his safety matter?
And where they're talking about where the Aurora people aren't agreeing with, and that's what with Vance when he was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Right.
Like this, even just this one face.
Did he just
this
fall
one face, this one American face?
Right. Maybe he just opened up like a shaking up Coke too hard or something like that. He got the shit beat out of him because they were shaking him down.
And he's fucking doing a job. He's a manager of an apartment complex.
Can't be making a whole lot of money.
No.
So as an American guy in Colorado doing a job whose life has now been, threatened, altered, beaten by a bunch of criminals from Venezuela that have come to Aurora to take it over.
I have to see if I have the article to back that up that you sent me.
Well, it's a newer article today. And guess what? I sent you another article today. Guess where it's happening also? San Antonio, Texas. Another gang of criminals from Venezuela has taken over parts of San Antonio, Texas. But hey, Cincy 513 and the rest of you liberals out there, I'm sure this is fake news, right? It's got to be false news. So whatever. I mean, who's the one that's living in an alternate state of reality? Me, who's commenting on what's going on in the world and showing pictures of people being injured? Or you that is blindly following because your blind hatred of Donald Trump and your Trump derangement syndrome has blinded you from simple facts? that are occurring every day.
And Sitzy, you're wrong. In your comment, you're wrong. I'm completely good. I'm completely good where it is. Things change. Here, I'll put it up there.
No, don't put it up there.
Oh, I'm going to put it up there. Jason's a nice guy. It's sad that this arrogant cultist douchebag hijacked the podcast. Well, he didn't hijack shit.
Wait a second. Let me see this. Hold on a second. He is very brave on the keyboard. Is he that brave in person?
You've made us miss Dan.
Wait.
Well, Dan had to leave.
And
we've just changed the format.
Hey, tough guy. Hey, tough guy.
Jason barely gets a chance to talk over. No, I listen. And I this is point counterpoint.
Wait, let me ask you a question.
So this is what conversation is about.
Hey, Jason, let me ask you a question. Is he not going to listen anymore?
I don't. Well, I hope he keeps going into chats because it helps the algorithm.
But I mean,
and if not, then that's fine.
See, let me point out something to everyone here. I've never met Cincy 513. We invited him to come to an event, and he what's the word we use when you were invited to something and then you're so scared you don't go?
Well, he told me he didn't have his number. So,
okay,
so
have his number, and
so
the dog ate his phone.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen
but
again.
My question to you is, he did have your number. He knew when the event was. Everyone else knew when the event was. But what's it called when you're invited to something and then you lose your bravado and you don't go? What do you call that? You call that
ghosting?
No, you kind of call it post out.
Post out?
Kind of post out. But he's awful. You know what? I've met guys like this on the keyboard. He's awful tough on the keyboard. He's just, don't blister your thumbs there, buddy. You're going to need them later tonight.
But the fact that when you start going into that realm, that's where you start to hit a little bit.
It's date night.
Andrew and I would not be doing this for however many, month and a half, 2 months.
You're so nice. I like you so much.
We wouldn't have been doing this if we didn't enjoy it.
We do enjoy it.
And point counterpoint. I don't agree with him on everything.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Find something you don't agree.
Shut your mouth. See, I will physically assault you
and it's on YouTube. Camera, and I am going to. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do something.
You can try it.
I'm going to do that.
Can't get water out of a rock, sir. You can try to.
You don't know the discussions Jason and I have had, and privately we've talked about things, and we have.
We go about things differently.
Yeah,
but we align for the most part. But not completely.
I would say this.
We go about things differently.
I would say this. I'm not in a position,
and I don't need to argue or question, what your
or
statement,
defend yourself
or defend.
Well, let me say something. I've never met 513, and I don't know him well enough to call him a douchebag. But I will say that his comments on here and his mental acuity on here call into question his thought processes. And that's just me saying it. I've had a lot of people reach out and they say, man, that guy is just one TDS triggered freak that just is very unbalanced. But I don't know him personally. I've never met him. He didn't show up at our event.
Has he tried to reach out to you?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean,
you're all over social media. You're very easy to get a hold of.
You shut your mouth. You shut your little dirty pirate.
I'm actually surprised that
shut your dirty pirate mouth.
I would love to see like a coffee lunch date.
I'm not doing that
with you two.
No, it's not happening. You don't get to use language like that, okay? And call me something and then expect me to just be like, hey, let's get together.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And once you go down that road with me,
and this one here, I think put me over the edge.
Once you go down that road with me, and that's what a leftist would do. I'm not saying you're a leftist, but they're like, they would be really rude and mean spirited, I guess might be the word, even though I don't like using that word. But they'd say rude and dishonest things about you without knowing you. And then they're like, well, can't we just talk it out? Can't we just make it good?
We're turning the last 15 minutes of this into a bitch session.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry.
No. I'm telling you, this is what we're doing.
This is what we're doing.
This is what we're doing. Okay. Because he wants to make the statement.
Was he still here? Did he
leave? We have been one more amount of here has been in existence for a little bit over 2.5 years.
God, it seems longer.
A lot of changes have happened.
Yep.
And guess what? Life changes. And you have to make changes. And you have to move along.
And grow.
And the fact that whether I brought you on,
or you brought me on, or I. Wait, how can we change that?
whether I brought you on,
Or I
or
bullied
whether
my
I
own?
brought somebody else on,
Right.
the fact that the first two co-hosts, one got sick, one had to leave. Right. So it didn't matter who I brought on, because I'm going to bring somebody that aligns with my ideals, which all three of us in the original One More and I'm Out of Here aligned the same way.
And had different ways of saying pretty much what we're saying.
Exactly.
Right.
Different ways to get to it, to the point.
Exactly. Because
And-
I've been on Dan's show.
Yes.
Dan has a show. And I can't think of disagreeing with Dan on any of his stuff.
So the fact that he's saying like,
but I'm
you make us miss Dan.
I'm making Mr. Well, you're welcome to tune into Dan's show anytime you want, buddy.
Well, you're on tonight.
I am.
Tonight.
I
What
am.
time?
So tune in. 9:30. Put me on the earlier slot. Thank God. Because he can
9:30 tonight. Cincy 513. Go ahead. Call into 700 and verbally.
I thank you.
Verbally.
I don't need. I didn't. We didn't bring it up for that purpose.
Because you're not going. But you're not going to agree with anything.
But here's the deal. So,
but he tunes into the show.
Just to be in a
and it works the algorithm, and I'm good with it.
Well, but here's the deal. So if he can't contribute anything positive, or at least have a good comment to give us some thought, because there are some liberals that I respected at one point. I don't any longer, but I mean there are some liberals that sometimes make me think. I'll tell you a quick story, really quick. So I was up in, obviously, Michigan this last weekend, and there's an issue up there very similar to what's going on in Cincinnati with this walkable communities, which is a national movement. We can discuss it on the show later, but these things called 15-minute communities, and it's a subject that people should be familiar with, but Cincinnati just adopted it. And what it does is it changes the zoning in your city because they're out to promote density.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so they want to have everybody live and work within 15 minutes of their house, so you don't need a car and you can walk everywhere. And they want denser and denser urban cores or areas. And so they're doing this to a very small town of 1,400 people up in Michigan that I'm part of. So anyway, long story short, one of the ladies that was working the booth that is on the same side of the issue we're having a great conversation, and I look over and there was a Democrat booth down the way, and I guess the look on my face pretty much said what I was thinking. And she's like, I'm a Democrat. I was like, that's okay. Someone has to be. And we had such a great conversation. She was such a nice lady, and we found the stuff we agreed upon, and we focused on that. And I enjoy that. What I don't enjoy is when some keyboard warrior gets on either here or social media and starts banging out their, opinions and going personal and using slurs. And then when they meet you in person, they're like, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. And like, you're goddamn right, you shouldn't have said it, because you shouldn't say things online that you really don't want to say in person. Well, either you don't have the nads to back it up, or you're just a cyber warrior that talks a big game, but in the light of day and the reality of the real world, you shrink into some miserable little sniveling puss. Can I say that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So whatever.
Now, it's fun for me, and I enjoy the banner back and forth. When you start getting to a point of you go a little too far where you're making personal attacks. It's bullshit. But
I'm used to personal attacks.
Well, I know you are.
Let me tell you something. I'm
learning it.
I was in office for 8 years, and we actually had to change the part of public comments because there was a section of the we used to not have a time limit on public comments, but when the gang of gals, otherwise known as the Coven here in Anderson, decided to alter the orbit of the moon and all show up in the same place at the same time, the rotation of the Earth was actually affected by them being gathered in the same spot. But they came and they just bloviated for probably an hour or two, just railing because they didn't like me. See, it is your phone.
It is.
And at the end of the day, I'm used to personal attacks. It doesn't really bother me, but you better have the balls to back it up. And if you don't have the balls to back it up, don't be talking shit. And I'm not going to beat your ass. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not going to meet you and just punch your lights out. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, you better be willing to back up your words, because you don't get to come on here, or even to me personally, and start talking your shit and expect me to take it. I'm not going to take it. My days of taking your shit are done.
I want to introduce the concept of have him call in.
Yeah, we could do that. I don't have a problem. I think it's a good idea. Question is, it's going to make the show. I mean, you do a lot of work.
He's got 9 minutes.
You've got
Travis.
Oh,
call
Travis.
Call my phone.
Can I call him Travis?
Call my phone.
Travis. But here's the deal. You don't know me. I don't know you. I've heard of you, and you've heard of me through your Democrat circles. But at the end of the day, I'm not calling you. I'm just saying your comments are stupid. But whatever. And I
513. Call my phone.
What I would do if I was him, I would be like, you know what? I probably let my emotions get the better of me, and I'm sorry for being such a douche in front of everybody here. But whatever. So, folks, we're gonna have a show. Obviously, we're in 7 minutes or so. No, Joe. We're not using that comment that the left completely talk about it. Joe Hunt also was a guy that was maliciously attacked on social media because they took a comment completely out of context and then made it something that it wasn't. Because I found that what the local Democrats like to do is lie and deceit and twist the truth, and it caused him some not necessarily misfortune or uncomfortableness, but definitely angst. That might be a good word. And he's a dad. And you saying the things that they said about him were not true. And yet they didn't. The truth doesn't seem to matter to the leftists. It's always the ends. Remember this, the ends justify the means. So I'm looking forward to hearing, with that in mind, I'm looking forward to hearing what Kamala has to say tonight to Brett Baer. I hope Brett pushes her on some issues.
I don't know. I mean, how much is he going to push her?
I don't know.
Brett's not one of those.
He's not. He can be. He's a good.
He's not one of the ones that.
He's not a fire breather. He's a good interviewer, but I hope that from what I've seen, but he's also very friendly. Doesn't he look like? Isn't he ageless? Doesn't he look like he's still like 15 years old?
Well, it looks like he's got 17 years of skin pinned behind behind the back of his head. He can't buy a baseball cap. There's no way.
He just looks, to me, he looks eternally young. He looks like just the quintessential young kid next door. And I got to tell you, I'm looking forward to tonight, but I hope he's firm with her, and I hope he does have it's a big deal for him getting this interview, but I hope that he has the temerity to, push back a little bit when she gives a word salad or doesn't answer a question. And, like the interviewers were doing with our candidates, they said, well, Mr. President, the question was about X, Y, or Z, and you didn't answer it. So, I mean, I'm hoping there's a little more of that. But it is, like I said, it was live to tape, and then they're just going to broadcast the tape. So the interview's already done, and we'll see what happens. So hopefully that'll play tonight, and it's in 6 minutes, and no, 3 minutes, and we'll see what happens. So we wanted to come on the air today and or come on the show today and just tell everybody that we appreciate you watching. We appreciate your listening. We do have a lot of videos that we want to get to coming up in the next few days, but I think the next topic of discussion is going to be how Kamala's appearance on Fox either helped or hurt her. The other thing, and would you agree with this, Jason? I mean, her finally agreeing to go. I mean, the one thing that her campaign would not do was like, we can never doing anything with Fox. What does that say for the state of her campaign? That
they're scrambling.
They're scrambling.
It's a scramble sandwich right there.
I
never thought that I would see her on Fox, to be honest with you.
I think that what you're going to see, and I think history will show that, I think you're going to see.
But I like the fact on her end that it's taped but not edited, but they wouldn't do it live.
Yeah, but does it matter? I mean, live to tape or live? I mean, what's the difference?
But we don't know. We don't know what actually happens.
I guess not. You raise a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I do know what you mean.
when
but
she
I mean,
fucks up and just like 60 Minutes, where she goes through a word salad and then they throw something else out.
it's gonna be interesting. Did you see the interaction today?
Donald Trump would go live in the middle of a
Donald Trump-
goddamn street.
So Donald Trump, from what I've heard, there was a health issue. There was a health crisis during.
Oh, they're worried about his cholesterol.
Yeah, and then so we were talking about that. So there was not with him, with somebody in the crowd, and then
No. I'm talking about.
yeah,
like,
you're talking about the interviewer with Mike Johnson. So the lady, now you guys have suffered, or at least been observing the last 4 years of Joe Biden with his mental acumen or lack thereof. And the only ones talking about his mental state was probably talk radio and your conservative media outlets. The general press didn't touch it. They're like, he's the greatest guy ever, even though you do realize that when he looks like he's in the Oval Office, do you know this, Jason? When he looks like he's in the Oval Office, that's actually a studio across the street. That's a fake Oval Office. He's not actually in there, right? You know that, right?
I had heard that, but I can't.
Yeah, that was fake.
I mean, how do you confirm or
Well,
deny
because
it?
it's being broadcast, because there's telltale signs. They know that it was fake because there is a studio set up across the street. But so at the end of the day, my point is that, Joe Biden, we've gone through 4 years of Joe Biden's mental decline, which pretty much cost him, per the Democrats themselves, cost him running again. And what was the question that the interviewer had for Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House? Why won't Donald Trump release his cholesterol levels?
That's an issue.
That's the big breaking story, that Donald Trump, his cholesterol levels,
But yet the sitting president wouldn't take a cognitive test.
wouldn't take a cognitive test. I mean, this is a joke where we've gotten with the press these days. I don't think he's calling, buddy. You can try.
No, he's definitely not.
Well, so here's the deal. I think what history will show is that her campaign.
We gave the option.
We did, but he didn't know your number.
Oh, apparently. I just texted him.
I know, but he didn't get it.
I know.
His phone died. His dog ate it. So
His dog got tied to
speaking of dog, his dog got tied to a tree. So I think that the history is going to show that Kamala's campaign probably peaked about 2 weeks after her coronation or selection.
I like coronation.
And then after that,
makes it sound more
and maybe
regal.
Brett Baer will ask that question tonight, maybe about the selection process. But I think that what history shows that after that, it just became the American public finally woke up. They've lost you did hear that they've lost the black male vote, right? So you heard that. I guess he's texting you back and you guys are going to have a long text.
He totally did.
Okay, that's nice. Doesn't want to be ridiculed publicly. Whatever.
That's
Not
right.
to mention it.
We'll figure it out.
He declined. Respectfully. At the end of the day.
Enough to comment, but working at the same time. So doesn't have enough time.
I guess we don't want him to have an accident and cut a digit off.
We're good.
But here's the deal. So I think that this is going to be a case study for a lot of things going forward, but it was for campaigns going forward, but it was reflected today. Did you see the interaction? And I know you don't have the video because we didn't talk about it, but did you see the interaction between at the Kennedy funeral today between Biden and Obama?
No.
It was, so folks, we'll share it on the next show, but it was pretty tense. And they were having a very serious discussion at the Kennedy funeral today. And it seems like, there's a lot of people speculating that Joe Biden is shit canning on Kamala Harris because he's pissed. He's still pissed. And the scuttlebutt is that Jill Biden is the one that's harboring the most animosity towards the Harris campaign. And if you look at sometimes when she has an event, he usually does some sort of announcement during it. He's overshadowed her a couple of times. And then you had Bill Clinton go out there the other day, talk about the fact that Laken Riley would still be alive if there was a better vetting process for immigrants that isn't taking place under this administration. There's just a lot of speculation that the Democrat Party is leaving Kamala and just not going to support her overtly or covertly. And her campaign is definitely floundering. Now, it's still very close, and I do not want people to get some sort of sense of, what's the word? that this is a done deal. So sense of security. I want everyone to go out there and vote. I want everyone to make sure they vote. Ethel, the older Kennedy, I think her name was it Ethel Kennedy? I think it was. I mean, you can Google it, but I think it was somebody asked who. It was Chili Billy asked
Ethel.
who. It was Ethel Kennedy. Yeah. So she was, and the older. I wonder if RFK Jr. was there. I didn't.
Probably old as fuck. Whatever.
Yeah, but my point is, we have so many races, and in Ohio, you might think that your vote's not going to count very much because obviously it seems like, at least I don't see a whole lot. Do you see a whole lot of Kamala ads here? I mean, I see some during football games, but those are national feeds.
Right.
We have so many down ticket races that require your vote and your participation that, and let's also talk about on another show. I think the next show, what we talk about, and we can do it whenever you want, what your schedule is next week, but I think we should bring up issue 1.
Tuesday is going to be the next viable day.
Okay, I can do Tuesday, but I think we should talk about something that's on the ballot that most people aren't talking a lot about. They might be relying on glitzy ads on TV, which were being outspent by 100 to 1 just about, because a lot of outside money is. But issue 1 is on the ballot here in Ohio, and it's about making, for all intents and purposes, the Supreme Court has already ruled that issue 1 is gerrymandering on the Democrat side. And yet the Democrats are pushing this as a bill or an amendment to end gerrymandering. Very convoluted. So I did see something you should chew on, and I would like folks to chew on this. If you get in the ballot booth, all right, and you look.
Oh, dude.
How long was issue 1?
Dude, it's this.
Yeah.
Plus this.
Yes.
Plus this.
It's long. Did you know this? It's longer than the U.S. Constitution. Did you know that? Seriously.
I saw the post. I wouldn't have guessed it, but I saw the post.
So,
but no, when I went and early voted, because I was happy to do it.
Right.
And super excited to tell you I did it.
No, I was excited. Where's your sticker?
It was neat. Well, my sticker fucking fell off, dude.
But I mean, here's the deal.
But no, it was that little blurb that they throw in there as you're reading it. It was super, super low.
Right. So I want
and I had read it before I went in, but with what they put on the ballot, that's why that ballot's fucking 2.5 pages.
I'm getting feedback through my sources that the interview has started and Kamala has been instantly bitchy and rude. So we'll see if it emotional, angry, ignorant, and rude.
Well, you kept talking. I was waiting for you to end this.
Well, I know.
We'll be back Tuesday, 5:30.
But I want to give people what we're going to talk about. And if you have any ideas of what else you want to talk about.
A lot of shit's going to happen between now
and Tuesday.
Tuesday.
No lie, man. No lie. Everyone have a safe week.
We appreciate you guys tuning in. We love all of you. Share.
Almost.
Share, like, review, download. Do all the things.
Disrespectful. She's very disrespectful.
Love both of us. I think we're doing a great job.
Jason, I'm sorry I talk over you so much.
No.
Will you ever forgive me?
I don't think you talk over me.
Well, I'm going to stop
because I don't let you. Because I just tell you shut the fuck up. I just tell you shut the fuck up.
I'm going to stop talking.
Yeah, you just stop. Shut your mouth.
I love the dead air.
No, we love everybody that's tuning in. We love the chats. We love the comments. Keep it up, and we'll be back next Tuesday. I don't know what
a week from yesterday.
I don't know what that date is.
Week from yesterday.
5:30.
Yeah, 5:30.
Unless you hear differently. But we appreciate you guys being here. Thanks.